Alright, so let's now get down to our penultimate event in the championship tree, as we are now doing the Mercedes-CLK-GTR Invitational Race, and we are going to Island Outskirts once again. Strap yourself into Mercedes Street Legal Supercar, the CLK-GTR, for a 6-lap race at Island Outskirts. Beat all 7 opponents to unlock Tropical Circuit and earn a spot in Event 30. Ooh. I wonder how Event 30 is gonna go. And basically, this is the only colour we have. I'd imagine I'm probably not the only one racing in silver. So, I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Let's just get on with this. Because the sooner we get it done, the sooner we can move on to the Supercar Series events that will be coming up after this one. And we've got a full field once again, and yep, everyone is basically driving in the same colour. Well, whilst I can say it's monotonous, I can definitely say we're using fast cars in this. And already I am off to a terrible start, which probably shouldn't surprise me. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that previous attempt did not just happen. It was also pretty abhorrent if it did just happen, because fuck me. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna stick to the bottom here, just because I really don't want to hit the same tree again. And I mean, I'm gonna dip down to the beach here. Oh, I also just noticed those are movie cameras. I'm going to assume that must be a film set, judging by what I just saw there. I never noticed that. I never noticed that down there was a film set. Well, anyway. I'm now out in front, and this is my official second attempt. Because, well, I basically decided my inadequacies were simply too much for me to withstand on the previous attempt I had. So yeah, there is that. Anyways. Things are actually going way better than they were before. There's no question about that. Because I'm now out in front, and I think part of the reason for that is because I've been crashing a lot less than I was. Because I did do a whole lot of crashing on my first attempt of this, and I gotta say, my car was pretty junk. So I'm basically gonna downshift going through these corners. I don't want to run into these palm trees. And on the brakes now, also doing it whilst in midair, because it is possible to slow down whilst in midair. And... huh. That first lap went a lot better than I thought it was going to. And what's my top speed going to be? I'd say that's about 194, because I know that on most occasions, if the overall ratio of the top speed is higher in terms of miles per hour, then technically speaking, it does round the number up by 1, so I just assume my top speed in that one was 194 from that whole thing. I mean, it said 193, but I'm pretty sure it was 194. I did not think my second attempt was going to go quite as well as this one is currently doing. I've also established it probably is easier for me to simply take the normal road rather than taking the shortcut by the volcano, because that's where the extra speed is. And that's basically what I'll be using. But anyway, yeah. And everyone else is seeing how much more rubber there is on the road itself, and they're basically following me. Which I think is a good thing, because it keeps this race interesting. Although this race has technically been interesting enough already. But again, that's probably just me. Anyways. Alright. Let's keep this going. Just gotta stay out of the trees, and then everything should be alright. As long as I can keep my car out of the trees and still be competitive, then that's all I care about. Oh. Shit. Okay. It's okay. It's fine. I may not have led that lap, but at least I was able to limit the damage. Which, as I've now discovered, is pretty important. I could not do anything more there. Yeah, something tells me that's definitely a film set there down on the beach. Well, I guess if it's possible, damage limitation technically is important in this regard, as I'm hitting those 2 chevrons. And getting a little push there from behind. But I still continue to hold on to my advantage, which is what I want, by the way. Or I at least want to stay up front without abstaining too much damage on the front. Because I think that's part of the reason why I've been leading like this. I think it's because of the damage limitation and because of my ability to use the shortcuts effectively. They have certainly been giving me a heads up, is what I think. And I would say that's a good thing, because it means I can keep myself out in front for longer durations of time. Which I would say is part of the reason why I've been leading for much of this race in the first place. Although I'm not predicting someone is going to swipe this away from me, because this certainly does look to be one of those races where the AI could potentially steal this one if I'm not absolutely on it. by the time we do get down to crunch time. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay. I led the third lap. Now, can I please hold on to the lead for the rest of this thing? That would be nice. Well, no one seems to be taking the shortcut. And that's probably the main reason why I keep coming out with the lead. Because I'm taking the shortcut and they are not. Somehow my front end is still intact. I don't know how, but my front end still appears to be intact, and I think my engine is definitely seeming to run better than it would have done if I knew there was this much damage on the front. Then, well, my suspicions about knowing how this race would have gone would no doubt be questionable. That's kind of the way I think it seems to be at this stage. Fuck me. I think it's important for me to keep my front end clean at this stage. That's kind of what I believe the best choice at this stage of the race really is. I mean, basically taking damage from both sides of the car, but not taking any damage from the front of the car, I think is what my idea is of winning this race. I mean, I've been leading for most of it, but it's definitely not been an easy one. There's nothing I can fucking deny about this. Because it has been pretty chaos-filled at this stage of the event. It's definitely been close quarter racing, there's no question about that. As I am on the brakes and... yep, I knew that was coming. And now my front end is destroyed. And just like that, I immediately drop from first to last. Oh well. I still have time to get back up into the lead. I kind of knew once contact ensued that sooner or later I was inevitably going to hit one of those trees. There was just no way for me to avoid it, even if I'd wanted to. There's just no way the game would have permitted there being no contact before the trees. It just would have happened. It just would have happened regardless of the outcome, is what I think. Well, I'm just hopeful in saying the damage I do at this point of the race onwards is not going to be enough to prevent me from scoring the dub. Because I've worked way too hard at this point of the race for this to not be what I think is a race-winning run. And I want to at least prove that there is the possibility of achieving it. And that's what I'm gonna do. Because I'll be very pissed off if I don't. Oh, and someone must have hit the water barrels. Don't know who though, but someone definitely hit the water barrels. Yep, I think my car is fucked now. My car is pretty fucked up now compared to before, is what I think. Unless I can miraculously thread the needle and catch back up to the leader somehow. And basically sabotage his efforts in whatever way conceivable. So, you know, there is that. Meanwhile, I still have 1 lap to go, so the possibility is still there. And, oh, I hit a new top speed. I must have hit 197, I think. Although it was probably 196. Well, at least I'm closing back up on the leader once again, so maybe I can pull this off. Providing I can somehow get close enough. There are no guarantees, but I think there is still a shot. If I have enough intuition and speed to somehow catch back up to the leader without totally destroying myself, then I think there's a definite possibility to say that I could waltz away with the dub. Is what I think. Well, anyway. Just trying to check myself before I wreck myself, basically. Which I'm also pretty sure is an Ice Cube song. Fuck you. And it looks as though the possibility is no longer there because I just got wrecked. Or maybe it will be. Who knows? Only time will tell. I don't think it's there anymore. I don't think I'm close enough. Okay, there might be a shot here. There's a definite chance I could pull this off on my 3rd attempt. As I slam on the brakes, it would be a torrid time for me to hit those trees because I just dropped to the back. And somehow, I'm gonna win it. I'm honestly amazed to say I actually won that race.
Congratulations! You have just won the Mercedes-CLK-GTR Invitational Race.
Jesus Christ. I did not think that was actually going to wind up being the winning attempt.
You've unlocked Tropical Circuit.
You know, I think after I slammed in... I think after I was forced into that palm tree, I honestly thought for sure winning this race was off the books, but I somehow came back and proved myself wrong. As I so often do. And I won that race in the end by over 8 tenths, ahead of Mika. Ashley was 3rd, followed by Alexis, Wayne 5th, Liv was 6th, Juan finished in 7th, and it was Dom who finished in last. And I had the 2nd highest top speed in that race, 196 miles per hour. Behind, I think, only Wayne or Liv, whichever one set the higher top speed. It'll probably show that any second now. Who did have the highest top speed? Oh, it was Alexis who had the top speed.
You've set a new record for this track.
Somehow.
You've beaten the best time for this track.
Yeah. So glad I won't have to do this race again, though. Because I gotta say, that was pretty crazy. But I somehow managed to still pull it off. I was somehow able to shine the light in my eyes. And believe it or not, the shine rewarded me. Which, to be perfectly honest, I was not expecting to happen, but I am glad to say it did happen. A little confusing there between the roof cam and the exterior camera. Excuse me. That was a little bit confusing on my end. Still, I really had to work for that one. There was no question in saying I literally had to push this car right to the absolute limit for me to somehow come away with the dub after what happened before. It was anything but an easy feat, I can assure you. I honestly would have said it was about as hard as climbing to the top of Mount Everest during a blizzard. And yet, in spite of the blizzard, you somehow managed to reach the summit of Everest. That is just how much of a challenge this race really was. It was basically Mount Everest levels of hard in terms of actually threading the needle. So glad to say that I did thread the needle though. But anyway, we've now unlocked the McLaren F1 LM Endurance Race. However, this race will be the longest in the game, because as you can see there, it'll be 10 laps of Palm City Island, so it's probably going to take me at least an hour to complete that. Or maybe under it if I can manage to pull it off on the first attempt. But either way, it doesn't matter because we've done our 2 races on the championship tree, and next up we are going to be doing Supercar Series, and then we'll be following that up with Supercar Series 2. But yeah, Supercar Series 1 will be our next event in Hot Pursuit 2.